It's about to get live. We keep it pretty level, no surprise. Come and listen to the topics busted. Yeah, check out our discussion. Keith Norris and D2K. K-Bump 20 on the MIC. Check our night all the way in Germany. Leveled head, you know who that boy is. But they say, live and level, live and level. We on that MIC. Live and level, live and level. We just talking them games. Live and level, live and level. Take a seat and listen up, man. Live and level, live and level. What's up, people? It's your boy Level here, and this is a Live and Level Gamers podcast. Everybody's in the building except for one person. Go ahead and unmute your mics, folks. What's up, people?
Yo.
What's going on?
Welcome to the show. This is the Live and Level Gamers podcast. Hope that y'all have come ready to talk games and have a good time. That's the new intro. I just worked on that for about 5 or 10 minutes, so I still need to work on it some more. Let me know what y'all think. What y'all think, honestly?
Live and level. Hey.
Live and leveled indeed.
So I was telling, only person that heard it was D2K, and before y'all heard it, and I was telling him I actually did that between 3:11 and before the podcast started, before y'all jumped on.
Oh wow. Okay.
Look, baby Pharrell over there. I see you.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, man, that was quick. That was real quick. So give me a little bit more time to mix it up and get it sounding right. But that's the intro. I think I like it. You know, I think it works. But anyway, we're here to talk games. So what's been good, folks? First of all, let's talk to Jedi Knight. Bro, so how I feel, man?
Dude, it's wonderful. It's something that I anticipated for quite some time. And it's finally here. I'm officially a daddy. Like someone in the world calls me daddy. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Yeah, when go ahead, K-Ball.
No, I was just saying he's somebody's baby daddy.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what day did that actually happen on, man?
This past Friday on July 13th.
July 13th. So it wasn't that far from the podcast we had. It was that weekend.
Yeah.
Basically.
That Friday night, it was about 10:50 p.m. And yeah, the wife was in labor for like 30-something hours. Wow. But like the contractions was like for 2 days. We were both up for like 2 days straight. It was wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, but once it finally ended, it was epic.
Okay. All right. So we can't do the names on live, but tell us when we get off air. I would love for you to share the name and everything like that, man, to get a full name. And how much did she weigh?
A little over 8 pounds.
Oh, that's a healthy baby.
Yeah.
That's a real healthy baby right there.
She's around I think 9 now. And that was like within the first week. She's going off on that milk. Let me tell you, she's not playing.
Yeah, my daughter, my second daughter, or my first daughter, she was 8 pounds. I think 8 pounds 6 ounces.
Okay.
And when she got off that milk, especially that breast milk, man, she blew up to 9 to 10 real quick. So they get plump real fast. Yeah,
that's what the baby's on as well. And like before we even left the hospital, she had gained an extra pound. And actually it took me a minute to kind of convert that because here in Germany they use grams. So I think the amount was like 3,600 and something grams. I'm like, why even use grams? But the measurements here are real different than back in the States.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Anything new? K-Bomb, D2? Anything before we get into these topics?
Nah, I mean, not really.
Okay, D2K, nothing new.
Nope.
All right, well, let's go and jump into it. You know how we start off, what you been gaming on. So I'm gonna throw it at I know Jedi, you probably ain't been gaming on anything this week, but a new child of being a father. Have you gained on anything?
Actually, I have. I did
Okay.
get in some games once I left the hospital. Um, that Octopath, that's what it's been. Um, yeah, I think I'm a couple hours in. That Octopath is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not picked that up, you need to get it.
Okay. So yeah, I've been hearing that it's really good.
Now it's that's an RPG, right?
Yeah, that's an RPG. Hey,
Okay.
yeah, it's an
Oh, my bad,
RPG.
guys. I didn't even realize that I muted myself.
You're
Yes,
talking all that time.
yeah, I was talking all that time. Um, yeah, Octopath is an RPG. Um, Pretty good, kind of SNES retro style uh, graphics with a 3D element to it. Yeah, a lot of nostalgia there. It's a really good RPG. Some people question whether it's worth $60, but that was really based on, like graphics appeal. Because it's not like bleeding edge technology, but you're getting like hundreds of hours of
What
gameplay.
what why why
Fantastic
does
gameplay.
why does graphics really have to do with a game being worth $60? Now I love graphics. No, don't get me wrong. I love to see the sweat beads dripping off of players, but
Hmm.
but to especially when you're talking about a console that that doesn't care about that. Why is graphic the defining factor of something worth $60? That sounds idiotic to me. And I love graphics.
It seems like it's coming from the community of people who either don't own a Nintendo Switch and they're not playing it, and the fact that the game is actually doing well. So
So it's shade,
yeah,
basically.
it sounds like it's a lot of shade. You know, you do have some people who are actually who have requested for it to be ported over to like the PS4, um, which is pretty cool. I think it's a game that's worthy of being played by other people if they're on different consoles. I'm not sure if it will be ported, but I think it's more about the success of the game. So people are trying to find a reason why, there's a problem with it. Oh, it's selling all this, but is it really worth $60? Especially with other indie games. Like if you look at the art style, not necessarily the graphics. I've never seen a game like Project Octopath. Well, it's not Project Octopath anymore. Octopath Traveler before. Like on the base, it's great, but the 3D elements of it, the game is beautiful. The water in the game, just the reflections, the way the water moves. It's not a SNES game the way people like to portray it, though it has that resemblance, but it's definitely Unreal Engine 4 for sure. But yeah, when it comes down to gameplay, I think it's worth the money. I'm not feeling like, well, I was overcharged about, $30 or $40. I think it's worth the money that I paid.
I think it has a lot to do with people looking at the art style, and a lot of people have a problem with separating art style from graphics or art style from animation. And they're two completely different things. They made a specific choice in art style for Octopath, but that has nothing to do with the mechanics of the game and how much work it probably took to actually pull off this 2.5D, 3D aspect to make it seem like it's a 2D SNES side scrolling game, but actually it's a 3D type game. It's not easy to do stuff like that. So whether it's worth $60 or not, that's not for me to say. I don't really care as long as the game is good. I don't think that people should look at a game and say, well, this game looks great, therefore it should be worth $60, or this game doesn't look all that great, therefore it shouldn't be worth $60. If the game looks horrible, but it actually gets the job done, then I got my money's worth.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. My bad, K-Bomb. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say I wonder if the same conversation would have been had with Octopath. It would have if it would have dropped for the PS4 or the Xbox if we would even be having this conversation about this game being worth $60 because
What?
Ace Tech talking about it was because it was a small budget, that what I'm saying why he thinks it's the conversation is being had, but I don't know.
Well,
I don't
to
understand it.
knock out one of the topics that we was going to discuss, over in Japan, the most searched thing on the internet was Octopath Traveler for the PlayStation 4. Like people wanted the game so bad that they was hoping that it was on the PlayStation 4, and there's been a lot of what they call port begging this way and over there, because they want the game for their particular systems, preferred system. So if the game was bad and looked bad, I don't think people will be searching for it as diligently as they are. So I don't think visuals and anything like that. I think the way it started out, kind of what you said, Ace Tech was saying, it started out as a small budget title between Square Enix and Nintendo, and I think it just blew up into what it currently is, and people are highly impressed by the 2D HD visuals and the RPG elements, and Square Enix being the developers behind this title, that they got a track record for Final Fantasy and what is that other one? Kingdom. What is that? Kingdom Hearts, or is it Kingdom Hearts?
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Kingdom
yeah.
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts.
And now they got so they good at RPGs. So for them to be behind this game and it's exclusive for Nintendo, people are intrigued by it. It's
I
a big.
think it has
I seen some videos and some footage of the game, and I'm not gonna lie, the visuals, though they're paying homage to the retro type back in the Super NES days, that's a good looking game, man. I can't lie. The game looks good to me.
a lot of it has to do with people just wanting what they can have.
Yep.
And it goes both ways because we had the same conversation in reverse a few months ago when Monster Hunter Worlds released for everything but the Nintendo Switch, and people were accusing Nintendo fans of being a port begging for Monster Hunter World to come to the Switch and saying, well, this company said that they'll even do it for you. You don't even have to do the work. They'll port it for you. It is possible. But it's the same thing. So it's more or less people just saying, somebody's having fun somewhere else. I can't have fun. I want to have fun. I want things to be done the way I want them to be done. So people like that, just kind of tune them out. I don't pay attention to them. Stop whining. Enjoy what you got. If you don't want to play the game that bad, buy a Nintendo Switch. If you really want to, if you're on Nintendo Switch, you really want to play Monster Hunter World that bad, buy a PS4, buy an Xbox One.
Right. Let me send a quick shout out to Phoenix Star 5000, a first name basis, Ace Tech HD, Slim Zim. Who else up in here? All you guys already in the comment section. And those who are listening, sign off in the live chat and I'll shoot you a shout out. K-Bum, Jedi, was that all you played? Anything else?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, cool. K-Bum 20, what you been gaming on, bro?
Yeah, so I'm getting ready for the new Madden. So I haven't really played Madden at all in the past 2 weeks. I've actually been spending a lot of time on FIFA 18. Got a bunch of guys who either played the game before or they're trying to pick it up for the first time now. We've been kind of doing the little online thing where everyone kind of controls their own player and you're playing against a team of other people. So we've been digging and diving into that. So that's been pretty cool, man. Like I said, it's very similar to level which you played with us in 2K, and how it was 5 of us all playing on the same team. FIFA is a little bit unique because FIFA can actually have up to 11 versus 11. I have not experienced that, but I heard it's a trip being able to see 11 people play against 11 people. But most I've seen is about 5, 6 out of the 11 to actually be human. So that's pretty cool. It's been fun. So I've been playing mostly that. I've picked up 2K again and started playing the 2K again. Because it's funny, I think a lot of the cheesers have moved on to another game. And so it's actually fun to play again. So that's pretty cool. I've played around within the past 2 weeks. I'll say this. I played around with Call of Duty, Black Ops 3 in the past week or so. I believe this week I played it too. and Overwatch. So that's what I've been playing. Waiting for I think the new character drops this week. The Wrecking Ball, the little hamster guy inside of a
So
mech.
the guy y'all was talking about last podcast, basically.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That drops this Tuesday, I believe, but he won't be in the competitive scene for another 2 weeks. And so that's pretty much what I've been gaming on. And I think played Fortnite like twice. And so I'm about to jump back on that at some point, get my skills up. So that's what I've been on.
Okay. D2K, what you been gaming on, bro?
I've been playing a lot of Slime Rancher, the game I've been telling you about for many months. Just recently they had an update where they added drones to the game, so that now the drones kind of do a lot of the work for you, because the basis of the game is that you have to collect these little slimes and put them in these containers and then harness the little jewels that come from them when you feed them to buy other things. Well, there are a lot of different slimes that are on the game, and they're all in different areas of the entire the whole world that you're in. And it's once you buy like warp zones and stuff like that, you can get from place to place pretty quickly, but still you want to be able to harness or harvest stuff faster. So now they have drones where you can actually set them up and give them a task to do, and they can take care of that for you while you're over doing something else. So that's pretty cool. Right now I'm playing a game called Android Cactus or something like that on the Xbox One. It's a top-down type shooter. Assault Android Cactus, that's what it's called. It's a top-down shooter. You use the analogs to. It's kind of weird how you steer yourself around. I mean, imagine how you would control a top-down game, a top-down shooter type game. It's like a throwaway bargain bin type game, but it's kind of fun. Obviously, I'm playing my normal things like the Halo and Gears and stuff like that. Play a little bit of Overwatch here and there, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, I guess me is next. The only thing I've been playing this week, I played 2 games. Actually 3. I got back on that Pocket Rumble, and that game is pretty cool, man. Once you get the mechanics down and learn what they want you to do and how you to control these characters. One of my cousins from Dallas, Texas was up, and of course he think he a gamer, so I'm talking trash with him, and he saw me playing Pocket Rumble, and so we put it on. As my son yelling down the steps because he was there too, and we put it on, going back and forth, and had a real good time in that. And then, of course, my son jumps on. He gets thrashed by my daughter. Yes, he got whooped by a 7-year-old. Anyway, just in case he's still listening. But because it's so different. It's not like Street Fighters. So it gives my daughter, it evens the odds, so to speak. If you're not, technically savvy and able to pull off these different moves they want you to do, this game kind of neutralizes the field, kind of makes everybody on a neutral playing field because it's so different. And so we was all playing that. That was fun. I played a little Mario Tennis Aces. That was pretty cool. Got online, got thrashed. Basically, pretty much every game I played, I suck. But for the most part, I've been playing Fortnite, man. I don't know what it is, dude. I don't know why I have gotten into this game at the level I have. When Jedi Knight came in, it was like, hey, bro, we all should jump on Fortnite. I started playing it with the thoughts that we possibly might jump on together, and I want to be prepared. So when I jump on with K-Bomb, Jedi Knight, D2K, Keith Norris, and whoever else, I'm ready. And it got so good to me, I started texting him and was like, man, we need to get on this Fortnite.
I'm telling you.
I don't know. It's just a fun game, man. It's addictive.
That Fortnite crack has gotten to him.
It got me, bro. It got me. I'm hooked. I'm like, man, what is it about? Sometimes I get thrashed, laying in the wrong spot on the enemy area, and I'm running through the house trying to loot stuff and trying to get my guns and weapons up, taking my potions to get my extra armor up. run around the corner, get blasted because I'm in the wrong. And then sometimes, you know, I'm with my posse, my crew. We just taking cats out. Right now, I'm at level 11, I think, and that's how much I've been playing it because I was at 0 just Tuesday, and I'm at 11. I just been playing it. My son been playing too under my name, so I won't take all the credit, but I'm at 11 right now, and
here we go.
I'm into that, bro. I'm into it. So you won't be hearing level head down too much, K-Bob, if we ever jump on this joint. But yeah, so that's basically what I've been gaming on.
AA for Fortnite for level head.
Yeah, I'm hooked. I ain't finna spend.
Anonymous.
I'm not finna spend money on it, and we finna go into these topics. And how I got this set up is to keep us to allow us to have time to hit the main topic like we want to. I created what I call rapid fire topics. And how it works is I literally got a timer here. So each topic under rapid fire is 7.5 minutes. And how it works is it's 4 different topics. And the first one is actually the money that has been made, the $1 billion that Fortnite has made so far. K-Bum kind of brought this up. So you would literally hear a count off. And when that first one goes, it's going to go quiet, and it's going to be quiet for 7.5 minutes. And we can talk and discuss, and then there's going to be an alarm go off to let us know, okay, we need to wrap this topic up and move to the next topic until we get through our rapid topic so we can have enough time to talk about the main topic.
Kind of like pardon the interruption.
Yeah. So we don't spend so much time on these smaller topics and don't have enough time to talk about the main stuff we came to talk about. And I think that'll keep us moving along and progressing a little bit better so we can dive into the main topic and have enough time to really dive into it. So this first topic is Fortnite has already racked in $1 billion, and we finna start. So as soon as you hit the count off and it goes down, you can start. And it's gonna start with K-Bomb. So here we go. Go.
All right. Yeah, so it was crazy, man. I heard that Fortnite made $1 billion. Like, I don't know if people really understand how much money $1 billion is. And they talked about in the month of April, they made 296 million. In the month of May, they made $318 million. That is ridiculous. Because remember, this is a free-to-play game. This is free to play, and they're racking in stupid amounts of money. And also they're dominating, absolutely dominating the game streaming industry. That they say 83% of hours people Twitch is being used to watch Fortnite. It's ridiculous, man. This thing is a behemoth of a game, and it is completely changing the game industry. So I think that's just amazing. Kudos to them, because like I said, I think it's a good game. Level likes it, and I think it's pretty cool what they're doing. But it's just crazy how they're dominating.
Jedi Knight.
I want to start by saying shout outs to PUBG.
That's all dirty, right there.
For completely dropping the ball on that one.
OG PUBG.
Yeah, because they had it for about 15 minutes, and Fortnite was like, "How about no? We'll do it, and we'll do it better." And it's cool because I really like. First of all, it's hard to compete with free, but two, the business model is awesome because you get a quality game for free, and on top of getting a quality game for free, they don't try to trap you with loot boxes and they dig in your pockets. Like, I've been on Fortnite. I purchased it for the PlayStation 4. I was getting handed to me. I was getting my behind handed to me, and then I picked it up on the Switch. And there I've kind of really settled into the Switch community, and I haven't paid a cent. So for them to be getting $1 billion total in revenue, and there's still people who are able to enjoy the game that have not paid a dime and didn't have to worry about loot boxes or trying to, pay for success. It's a great business model for them, and it's a great situation for us gamers. I didn't know about the 83%, viewership for Twitch streams. That's unreal. You know, it's deserved, man. It's a fun game. Like, let me tell you how fun Fortnite is. My KDR, my kill death rating, is atrocious. It is terrible. Like, I'm not even good at the game, and I love playing it. That's how good Fortnite is.
Yeah, it don't rob you of the experience. Like when you get shot, hey, I just jump into another game. I don't have to sit there and wait and look and feel like I'm the weakest link on the team. Nobody really cares. What I hate though is when your teammates see you alive and needing to be revived, and they just shoot around you and don't even try to help you. Sometimes that makes me mad, but it's pretty good. But Jedi, not Jedi, but DJK, what you got?
Well, I haven't played this game yet, so I can't really speak too much on it. But as far as the success of the game, I guess I could say that, the difference between success and failure is in the details. And I think that even though a lot of people use this free-to-play model, it seems like they've found the right niche that works for them and seemingly is the most appetizing for the community at large because they're raking over $1 billion in a very short period of time. So, it seems like the Battle Royale thing is only going to get bigger because people are going to see what they're doing and they're going to try to copy it. More and more Battle Royale games are going to start coming out. They're going to start forcing Battle Royale concepts into games where it doesn't belong. We've already seen that. So it's definitely something that's going to be a part of us for the next few years, I believe. But like I said, the difference between success and failure is in the details. And just because you do something doesn't mean it's going to work. You have to do it right. You have to find the right mixture that works for you, the right, combination of things. And it seems like that's what's working for you with this game.
Yeah. So do them numbers again, K-Bum, because I didn't catch all of it. I was distracted at the time. What was them numbers again?
So in the month of April, they pulled 296 million. In the month of May, they pulled 318 million.
And that's just from people buying skins and outfits
skins,
and stuff.
The season pack. It's nothing like Jedi said. It's not pay to win. This is just cosmetic stuff and dances and Fortnite. So Nia, the video game her posted that Fortnite is so big that the dances that existed before Fortnite and had their own name are now being called Fortnite dances. That's how big they are. They're being referenced from the game instead of their actual name.
That's crazy, man. Now you said there is no when they buying the stuff, there is no guns and weapons they can get. It's just cosmetic.
Yeah, because the guns and weapons are actually in the game. I think you get is like a different jetpack or something like that.
True. Nothing that'll give you any sort of in-game advantage. There is no advantage. It's purely cosmetic, as K-Bomb is saying. All of the guns, everything, you have the exact same opportunity as everyone else. When you land on the island, you scavenge for, items.
And I gotta find that one gun. This one dude had this I don't know what you call that gun. The one in Terminator, what's his name? The wrestler had, where he was just mowing down the whole
minigun.
Yeah, somebody had one of those the other day I was playing. I was like, where you find that at? I would love to find that, but I'm killer with the with just a Glock, just that 9 Glock, and you get more points if you hit somebody and take somebody out with that over, a machine gun or a sniper rifle or something like that. I got a headshot with that Glock and took somebody out right across the field, and it literally told me how far they was away from. It was pretty dope.
Wow.
So
yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, if you go through like once you lose, you check out the stats of how the thing went down. They show you, how many kills you got, who killed you, the whole 9, and it was showing me all that. It was pretty cool. So, all right, we got 5 seconds. We're gonna move to the next topic.
One question, real quick, before we get. It's over.
I'll pause it. Yeah, we gotta stay honest. All right, so the next topic is, and D2K brought this up: is VR dead? Is it dead? Is it done? What's going on? So I'm gonna let D2K take over, and then once he get done explaining it, it'll start. The time will start. Go ahead.
I believe VR is dead. It's Sony pretty much. I mean, they're still supporting it, obviously, but it's dead. I mean, you see a lot of these other companies that are starting to pull back their plans with VR. You don't see a lot of people talking about it anymore. It just seems like there was a big. They jumped the gun with VR. They wanted something to be exclusive to them, and they just didn't work out. And it was an ill-conceived concept, in my opinion, to start with, in terms of console gaming, because VR is something, if you want to experience it properly, you're going to need to convert a whole room and dedicate that room to the VR. So what does that mean?
That's the time. You good. You good.
Okay.
This is the actual time. So okay. Keep going. You good.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be room for that in amusement parks, or like at a Dave and Buster's, or places where you can dedicate a whole place to VR and stuff like that. But as far as being in your house, I mean, some people might be able to convert a room to just a VR room, but most people are not going to be doing it. It's not that serious to be doing all that. So it's just not really. That's what I'm looking for. It just doesn't fit the average consumer. It's very expensive to do it right. It's very expensive to even buy one that's even worth playing. It just was something that it was a gimmick that didn't work out. I mean, gimmicks are very hit or miss. Sometimes gimmicks work. Sometimes motion control worked with the Wii. Hasn't done much since. 3D, kind of worked a little bit with the PlayStation. Then Nintendo came and just stepped all over that at E3 and never heard from it since. So it's just, you have to be careful when you invest a lot in a gimmick. Something that's really not feasible for the average consumer to go to the store and buy and not feel like they've just mortgaged they have to take out another mortgage on their house to afford playing this,
Okay. Jedi Knight.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's dead. I would say it's early in its infancy. It hasn't really developed yet. I guess you can just tell by the expense of everything. It's too early. Usually when it comes to mass adoption, you have the affordability aspect, but you have quality content. And we don't have either right now. I think when it comes to the content, the only two games that seem to have at least piqued my interest, though I've never played them, but it seemed interesting, was Resident Evil 7, the VR edition, and Star Trek. I forget the name of the Star Trek game, but it was like you were controlling the deck, and there were other people. It was like multiplayer. And I thought that was pretty cool. The problem is it's kind of like when video games went from like the 2D side scrolling to like these the 3D polygons. Everybody was kind of doing like the same thing. And the 3D aspect of gaming was kind of bland then, until you had like the Mario 64, when you can control the camera, and it introduced something that kind of made 3D polygon playing a very enjoyable thing to do. And then people started to really understand what needed to be done in order for this style of gaming to be done and be enjoyable. And with VR, we're just not there right now. I think it's going to take a few more years. First of all, they're also going to have to be wireless. You know, people are like what D2K said, you have to allocate an entire room. And a lot of it is because you have to be tethered somewhere. You have cords everywhere. You can possibly hurt yourself because you can't see because you have like these goggles on. I think that the implementation of VR with telephones may be more of the direction in the future because these telephones are going to be more powerful, and they're wireless. You know, so I wouldn't say it's dead. I just think that it hasn't really reached its potential yet because they're still kind of feeling their way around VR.
Okay. K-Bomb 20.
So I'm gonna try to. Okay, let me try to answer this question. Because it's hard to say that it's dead because you have to understand what you mean by dead. Are we're talking about gaming VR or VR period? The thing is, VR
In its
itself,
current state, I
no,
would say.
but VR itself is not dead. You have to
Okay.
understand that there's a couple $1 billion company that has a stake in VR, and that's Facebook.
Yeah, that's true.
Facebook has stake in VR, and so
They bought
absolute,
Oculus, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And so, hold on, is Oculus is it the other guy? Hold on,
Thought it was Oculus.
you may be right. Oculus Rift, yeah, yeah. And so they have a huge stake in that, and so and he has big plans for VR. Now, the conversation we may be having about what's dead is gaming VR. Most notably, console gaming VR. Now, that itself is on life support. I don't think that's going to last much longer. For one thing, only one company has actually invested in console VR, and I don't think it's actually gone too far. Right. So, from that note, I think that part of VR is dead. But VR itself, as a whole, as in even PC gaming, I don't think it's dead. I think they're finding different ways to introduce the VR and how they want to actually use it, but by no means do I think it's dead. But they still, if it's dead, they're going to resurrect it because they have big plans for it, and the tech may be too early for what they want to do with it.
Okay. Now, D2K, when you was asking this, when you set this question up, was you only referring to PlayStation 4's VR or Morpheus, or was you saying VR in general?
I was referring to console VR for the most part because,
okay.
you know, like I said, it hasn't worked out well for Sony, and Microsoft was toying with the idea, but it seems like they just said, nah, forget about that. And there were some rumors that Nintendo might actually try to implement that with the Switch at some point. There was that patent that came out that showed the ability to slide the Switch inside these specialized, VR goggles or whatever. And that still could happen because, as Jedi was pointing out, though, the whole wireless aspect would work a lot better for VR. And we have phones that can already do that, and the Switch is on par with some of these phones that are doing VR. So it's not impossible for them Nintendo to do that. And it might be a much less expensive and more viable option for console VR going forward. But as far as VR, the heavyweight VR, which is what we thought was coming with PlayStation VR and whatever Microsoft would have done with Oculus before Facebook moved in and bought it, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to take their resources and go elsewhere. Like I said, there are places for VR to exist, and that's PC, amusement parks, whatever, where you can invest a lot of money. You don't have to worry about losses.
Okay. Well, I ain't gonna be able to add anything because that's it on that topic. All right, so
there is wireless VR though right now.
Okay, I'm gonna give y'all 30 seconds to talk, minute to talk on that. What is it? Because I'm curious on that. What is it?
The Vive is actually doing wireless VR.
Okay, that's what's up.
So it's not a foreign concept, and it's actually in the development being used. Yeah, but you need the power to be able to do it. So,
okay, let's move to the next topic, and this is one that I was intrigued by, and it is, with all these Mega Man games coming out, and you starting to see a lot of it in the eShop, you know, in the tradition of Mega Man. Will we ever see a true return to the 3D Mega Man game? And there's the second part to this. Do some games only work in 2D? And the third part to this is, how was Metroid able to transition from first person to a first person adventure from a 2D side scroller? So let's go. And I'm gonna start with Jedi Knight.
Okay. I don't know because I've never really been huge on Mega Man. I know that there's been a 3D Mega Man title. I've never played it. The last time I've played like a Mega Man game, I think it was Mega Man X and X2 on the SNES. But I can't really contribute to the conversation with this one here, fellas. My bad.
So is that anybody jump in?
Yeah, jump in. My bad. I had to go out.
Oh, I'll tag in because I'm not a big Mega Man fan myself. I haven't really played too many Mega Mans, so I may be in the same bucket as Jedi. I can't really put more on this conversation than that's needed because I don't play that type of game, and so I'll tag Jedi D2K in and see if you can add something to this conversation, bro.
Okay, here's the hot tag coming in, D2K. I'm not a huge Mega Man fan, but I've definitely played my share. Back on the NES, Mega Man 3 was my favorite Mega Man of them all. To me, I think it still is the best Mega Man of them all. But played Mega Man X 1, 2, and 3 on the SNES. I don't remember ever playing any 3D Mega Mans. I know there was one. I don't ever remember playing it. To me, it's something that doesn't really fit in that universe. I can't really imagine why I would want to play Mega Man in a 3D world. It just doesn't feel right. It just kind of takes away from the essence of what made you fall in love with the game in the first place. To me, it's kind of the same paradigm of why Sonic has not really worked.
I was just about to say Sonic. Good job.
Does not work very well in a 3D world. I mean, there is some good. I mean, Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast was very good from me. I enjoyed that. Solid Colors was beautiful on the Wii, but didn't really do a whole lot in terms of sales. But I feel like it's something that really made this bread was buttered in a 2D arena. You kind of have to leave it there. There's no reason to take it out of that. I mean, sometimes you can have a stark contrast or a big flip like you did with Super Mario World to Super Mario 64 or Metroid and then Metroid Prime, and it works. But somebody has to have a vision on how this is going to work. You can't just say, let's do a 3D game for the sake of doing 3D. Nintendo already knew what they wanted to do with Mario 64 when they actually started conceiving it. And like we've said many times before, is that a lot of Nintendo likes to come up with an idea and then build the technology around that idea. And that's pretty much what happened with Mario 64. They knew what kind of power the N64 was going to have. They knew what they're going to do as far as analog controller. And they built 64 around that. The camera buttons, all that stuff is... So that way, when you bought the N64, you bought Mario 64, you understood why you had a Nintendo 64. I don't know if they can really do that with Mega Man. It's just no reason for him to be in that arena. Nobody really even wants that. So I think they should just concentrate on making a good Mega Man game, period, before they start worrying about making a 3D Mega Man.
Well, the reason I brought that up is I don't know if you guys remember that Mega Man game that was on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. It was 3D. And I played it once. I didn't like how I controlled. You know how 3D games on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation, control like, so it's kind of wonky and it wasn't as fluid as Mario 64 and what was happening on the 64 with 3D environment, 3D space games. but I did like how it looked. If it controlled better, I think I would have liked to play the game in that space. But I have noticed that they have never really tried to return to that space with a Mega Man game, which I don't think Capcom has done right by Mega Man up until this. I think they finally decided to utilize that IP and get what they can actually get out of it. But because I think it's an IP that still makes money and still turn heads to this day, nostalgia regions, and people just like that type of gameplay. But I've always been curious why they never try to do another 3D one like that. And on top of that, I was looking at how Metroid Prime, Retro Studio was able to take a 2D dominated game and pull it into a 3D space in the first time, and it worked just like with Mario 64, and with Nintendo and Mario 64, they was also able to do that with Metroid. That always amazed me. And then, like y'all said, Sonic has never really honestly worked in 3D. Is it the developers? Is it something that Nintendo is able to do that these other developers are not? I don't know, but it seemed like Nintendo has taken two dominated, predominantly, if I said that right, more 2D games and brought them into a 3D space and done it successful the first time they tried to do it. And every other company that we've seen, every time they try to step in from a 2D to 3D space, it seems like they stumble. And, I think Capcom with Mega Man, I think the game will make a good 3D game if done right. But I don't have to have that, but it would be interesting to see it, though.
To be fair, though, I think it is really difficult to go from a 2D space side-scrolling game and then give it more of a open world, go anywhere you can environment. Outside of the fact of the people who've played the prior games, now this is a completely different game. Nintendo, they really hit the mark when they did it with Mario. If it wasn't a good game, then Mario would have failed. But a game where Nintendo tried to do it and they quickly realized that it didn't work, and they went back to the 2D side scrolling was Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong had a 3D game on the 64, and they didn't do it again.
I like how he hesitated and they didn't do it again. You're right though. Now, do you blame that? Just it is for the time for the end, but we go a little bit over. Do you blame that on Rare, or would you say that was Nintendo? Who you blame that on?
I would blame it on Nintendo because it's their IP. They allowed it to be developed that way. It had to be, to some capacity, their idea. And then the creator of the game, if it was Rare, decided that they're going to go with that particular idea. And I think it was pushed by Nintendo because this was the Nintendo 64. It was the most powerful console out at the time. And, they wanted to show the difference between its competitors. But it really wasn't a good game.
Okay. Right. Everything else that Rare did as far as a 3D platform standpoint was stellar, like Banjo-Kazooie and Conquer and Jet Force Gemini and, of course, Perfect Dark and all that stuff. So, I think that was just a bad idea to put Donkey Kong in that format. I think a lot of people say, I don't want to play Donkey Kong.
I added 3 more minutes to this topic. So once it's over, once it's 3 minutes up, we off to the next one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
First Name Basis asked the question in the comment section. That's why I added more time, because I thought it was a good question. He said, if they could make a Mega Man game with graphics like Octopath Traveler, he thinks that would be interesting. That's then
again, it's going back to the whole copying thing. It's not that, they came up with this idea first. They're looking at what Square Enix did and say, they were successful with Octopath Traveler. Let's try to do this with Mega Man. Well, it may not work. Because people will, especially in this day and age, because people say, they're just trying to copy off Octopath Traveler. Especially if the game doesn't come to the Switch, then you're really going to hear that. So it's a cool idea to take those types of graphics and then try to do that 2.5 3D type thing. I mean, it would look cool, but I don't know how successful it would be simply because people wouldn't act right.
Okay. K-Bomb, anybody? Anything else?
Yeah, I would agree with D2K. You know, even if it was about the kind of taking the graphics from Octopath Traveler, at the end of the day, the game has to be a good game. And what's occurring is a lot of those 2D platformers that were then redone in 3D, a lot of those games aren't good. And I'm not really sure if it's a developer problem or if those games itself just really doesn't lend itself, you know, nicely to a 3D world. You know, I just think that sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, I think people who are looking for the next Mega Man game want the Mega Man that they're used to, and I think that they need to make that Mega Man game. Um, yeah, I think that's what the Mega Man crowd fan base is really looking for.
Yeah. I mean, this new Mega Man that's coming out, I know they released all the, and I plan on getting maybe that original set of Mega Man games in the eShop, but this new Mega Man that's coming out later this year, I don't know what it is, but bro, I'm all in on that. I really am. And this is one game I saw in the eShop is basically a Mega Man game, but it's not made by Capcom, but it looks like a Mega Man game. And I actually almost bought that, you know, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna wait until the actual one come out and spend my money there. But I'm looking forward to this new Mega Man game. But I don't know how anyone you guys feeling about it, but I don't know. I'm into Mega Man. I think I want to give it another shot. I just like what I was seeing. So, but anyway, 10 seconds and this is done. So I'm gonna pause this. So we made it through our rapid fire stuff, and like I said, this is just a test run. I'll probably get a different countdown with better sounds. I don't like that beep. I'd rather have a different sound. I had one earlier that I thought would work, but it didn't have an intro sound, but I can deal with that. So the next time it'll be even more fleshed out. And that's just to get us through those smaller topics so that we can have more time to discuss the main topic, which we're going to talk about now. Now, I wish Keith Norris was here. And I always say this because this conversation started between me, him, and K-Bum 20, which I thought went some interesting places. Then I thought, hey, we should bring this conversation to the cast and talk about it. And we titled the cast based on this conversation, The Art of Storytelling. Now, how this sets up is we were talking about, K-Bum, where did it come? What game did we talk about first that kind of started?
I posed a question. You made a statement about wanting to see a different Zelda story with Ganon as the
main character.
Yeah.
So let me explain where I got this idea from. I was looking at the Zelda game that's basically what they just brought it over from the Wii U. What was that game? Where's
Twilight Princess?
No, not Twilight Princess. It ain't even made by Nintendo. They just use Nintendo's. They just use the Zelda skin, but it's one of those. What is that game called?
Is it Kamara? Or,
the one where there's a whole bunch of dudes around, and he can, you got Zelda, you can use Link, you can use Zelda, you can use Ganon, you can use all these different characters. It just came out on the Switch, but it was originally on the
Hyrule Warriors.
Hyrule Warriors, there it is. My bad. They just skipped my thoughts. So I'm looking and I saw a picture, a still shot of Hyrule Warriors, but the person who took the still shot was using Ganon, and the scene was showing Ganon kind of crashing down into a large group of people, just knocking them all over the place. And I was like, man, it'd be awesome if they made a Zelda game telling the story of Ganon from the angle of Ganon. Like, why was he so upset with the Hyrule? How you say that?
Hyruleans.
Hyrule. There it is. And all the Zelda and the Queen and the King and all that stuff, and how he got the Triforce of Power. Like telling that story and allowing us to play as Ganondorf. And what would that be like? So that's kind of what I asked. And then K-Bum asked the question, does Zelda has a storyline?
No, no,
right?
no, no, no,
Abram?
no,
Oh,
no. I
go
said
ahead.
a similar storyline, not a storyline. As a storyline similar with each Zelda. That was the question.
Yeah,
Save
okay.
the princess. Remember?
Yes, Save the Princess. And me and Keith was like, no. We get to talk. We talked about Majora's Mask, and we talked about Keith put a whole bunch of different ones in there, and that conversation bred to what we're about to talk about now. Because as we talked about Zelda, and we talked about Sony and games like God of War, games like Uncharted, games like Last of Us, games like Gears of War, that has these heavily not narrated stories, Halo, to where it's movie-like driven storylines. It's the storyline is more movie-like, whereas Nintendo has a story too. The way it's told is different, but it's just as, if not with like games like Zelda, as deep. So that's what we like the art of story. Like, it has Sony mastered this. We have talked this before, and are we downplaying the way Nintendo flesh out a story in games like Zelda, games like Metroid Prime, and other games that has a lot of backdrop if you choose to do the adventure and play the game in the way that reveals all these hidden storylines. So that's kind of where we want to go, like the art of story. Which way is the best way? Which way is the more fulfilling way? Just that whole question. So let's get into it. So as we was talking about Zelda, and I set it up. As we was talking about Zelda, a thought came to me. Zelda does have a deep storyline. It's told differently than what Sony and with a God of War or Uncharted would tell it. The story is hidden behind the adventure, whereas in Uncharted, the story is out front. It's not hidden. It's out front. It's told through cutscenes. It's told through narration. It's told through acting of different characters. Sully talking to Nathan, and Nathan talking to this person. They interacting with each other throughout the stage as you play through the game, talking and having dialogue. And the story is told to you up front. But Zelda, there is a deep story there that is told to you through exploration, through talking to different townspeople, to finding this temple with these writings and these artifacts and these books, or this hieroglyph on the wall that you had to read that opens up the story. And then there's a deeper part to it that's left up to interpretation that opens up even more dialogue. So, what hello? What the hell happened? Somebody said something.
No, good.
Oh, so first of all, the question is there only one way to really tell a story, or is there multiple ways to telling a story? I'll jump in here with Jedi Knight first, come back to D2K and then K-Bum. Is that cool? Since me and K-Bum kind of been doing
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jedi.
Yeah, I think there's more than one way to tell a story. There's not a de facto way of doing it. I would assume every game development company that does story-rich games have their way of expressing the story within the game. I think that if this is like a Nintendo Sony thing, I think both camps have their unique way of expressing their games, their IPs. I think Sony has been very successful with how they flesh out their characters. Nintendo has been very successful in not just creating a story, but really just recognition of their characters, the branding of their characters. But they had much more time in the game. They've been around since the 80s. So I just think their approach is really different on how they do that. It's but so many times you can tell the Zelda story when Zelda has been around since like 1986. With Nathan Drake, just because Nathan Drake has been around maybe for just a few generations, 3 generations of Sony consoles, um, they've had more of an opportunity to kind of invent something different and go a particular direction. And I think that's good for the gaming world. You know, you don't want everything to feel the same. You want to be able to own a Nintendo console and a Sony console for those reasons exactly. You know, sometimes you just want to lay back and you want to play as Link, and sometimes you want to go on a world adventure as like a some sort of treasure hunter and get the girls and have, you know, an old guy that smokes cigars with you. You know, it just depends on how you want to roll at that particular time. um I think they both work.
Okay. D2K.
Well, I guess I can kind of set it up like this. Um, Sony basically, from what I can see, their goal is to make you feel like you are a character in the movie and you're playing as that character in the movie. When you go to the movies, especially if it's a movie that's got a heavy dramatic feel to it, it could be action adventure, it could be something sci-fi or whatever. But if it's a character that you really like, you want to identify yourself with the character because then you become emotionally involved and it makes the movie a lot more interesting and entertaining. And a lot of these games like Uncharted, like Last of Us, you know, God of War, they have an aspect of storytelling that makes it feel like you are playing an actual motion picture. That you are watching, you're in a movie theater and you have a controller in your hand. That's basically what Sony wants you to feel like when you're playing their games, literally. And it works for them. Nintendo is about the experience. Whatever that experience may be, it's about the experience. And I've said this before, is that Nintendo makes games that are fun to play right now. When you pick up the game and you press start, you're having fun right now. There's not a lot of room for long storytelling with that paradigm. Not to say that they don't, but that's not their focus. That's not what they care about. They care about you having fun. If it takes a little bit longer in a Zelda game where you have to go to this town to talk to this person to find this artifact and trade this with this person over here and stuff like that. But in the process of doing that, you're doing things that are cool and fun while you're on the way of getting there. And that's what Nintendo concentrates on. They want to make sure that every aspect of the gameplay that you have is fun. Even if you only play it for 5 minutes or 5 hours, you're having a good time. Microsoft is somewhere in the middle because what they do best is multiplayer. And with games like Halo and Gears, you have a very engaging and very entertaining campaign mode with characters that you can identify with, like Master Chief or Marcus Phoenix. And that in and of itself is worth the price of admission. But then when you get to the multiplayer, you can put, Halo multiplayer, boom, I'm playing, I'm having fun right now. Playing horror mode on Gears, boom, I'm having fun right now. So you have a good balance of both in most of their big three, Forza to be in the third. These are games that are fun as soon as you pick it up, or they're fun if you want to do the whole storyline type aspect of it. So it's different ways of telling stories. I think Nintendo is more concentrated on having fun right now, but games like Zelda do have storyline in it if you really choose to look at it that way. Some people just like to burn right through it. With this last Zelda, you can go straight to Ganondorf if you wanted to, but without defeat the purpose of buying the game. Well, why would you want to do that? And with Sony, it's not like you can't go straight to the end of God of War, and you wouldn't want to. When the first trailers came out for God of War, everybody was like, "Man, I want to know more about his relationship with his son." That's what happens with movies. When you see movie trailers, man, I want to see some more about what's going on here. Like, we just had San Diego Comic-Con. We had all these trailers for these new movies coming out next year. You look at these movies like, man, I got to see that. I want to see who this character is going to talk to and how this is going to play out. So, I don't want to waste too much time, but that's how I feel about it.
Okay. You gave me an interesting thought. I'll bring it up here in a second, but you said something that triggered some of my thoughts. But go ahead, K-Bon.
Yeah, on D2K put that very, very, very well. And because I remember, if I think about it, and I remember what made me actually want to play the new Zelda game. And it's funny now that I think about it. So what I saw that made me want to play the new Zelda game was actually the cutscenes that they were showing, the story they were showing of Zelda. That's what sparked my attention, and that the graphics looked pretty good, and I wanted to kind of learn a little bit more about the story or what was going on, because it looked very interesting. Why I kind of died out from the Zelda game was how the story was told. And it's funny because during the podcast I've said this, and in the comment section I've been kind of flamed for it. But the fact that you have to read the text in Zelda takes you out of that immersion factor for me. After playing uh, Sony games and Xbox games for so long, and having the story kind of talk to you through sound and motion, it's kind of takes you away when characters don't have voice, or you have to kind of have to read the text, so you have to insert your own understanding. That to me, that becomes more of like reading a book than it does watching a movie. And as D2K put it so well, it is very similar to how Sony wants to do. They want you to feel like you're actually in the movie, and that's why you looking at God of War. Why they talked about that one camera, how it was a one camera, only one camera the entire movie and no cuts. I mean, that's kind of language you hear in a movie. You don't hear that in video games. It's because they had a particular purpose that they wanted to do and wanted to bring across. And as far as answer your question about it, are there multiple ways to tell the story? There are absolutely multiple ways to tell a story. If you think about a game called Journey that came out on the PS3 a while ago,
Yeah, I
um,
remember that thing.
it told a wonderful story without any words. There was no real words in the game, and it told a beautiful story. Even the game Flower, that kind of tells a story as well, but it tells in a very unique, different way. So I don't stand here saying there's only one way to tell a story. But if you're looking for, depending on what kind of effect you're looking for, depends on the way you tell the story. And if you're looking for, as Sony shoots for, you look at their main games, they are movie-like experiences. Experiences so well that many movie companies want to redo them as movies. You also have to understand that Sony is a movie making company. So I mean, you can't lose that factor that they themselves make movies, and so that kind of influences down into their video game industry and some of their main titles, that it is movie focused and on that same type of level. Because think of Uncharted, and anyone played Uncharted 2, that could have easily been a blockbuster movie.
That's the best one in the
And
franchise.
that is absolutely the best one, and I would agree with you wholeheartedly. um, and that it could have bested any blockbuster movie that summer, any, if you'd have put it out there and let it play. And it's funny that Sony gets knocked for that, or gets flamed for these movie type experiences. But many people don't understand is that their user base, me being one of them, absolutely enjoys those type of video games. Those type of games where I feel like I'm a part of the world that I'm in. And one thing I want to say was like world building. It feels like you're a part of this this adventure. And I remember watching movies as a kid, and I always wanted, that's what I wanted when I'm watching a movie, is I wanted to extend this movie. I wanted to be a part of the movie. And the fact that we have the media of video games to be able to do just that. And it's funny that people make jokes about it, but many people in the same voice when they were kids wanted to be a part of whatever movie they watched. And the fact that these video games now gives us the luxury to actually do that. And I think that's one of the biggest things, the differences, is that Sony does kind of focus on that. I think D2K did an excellent job of actually saying that, is where they're focused and what they're trying to get out of that experience it's not just as some Nintendo titles, is some of that unique gameplay stuff, and how the game actually um, functions, and some of the uniqueness, and let's think about all the physics elements and all that's inside of the new Zelda game. But when you think of some other game like God of War and Uncharted and Last of Us, and it's funny, guys. I just saw an article when they say Last of Us director said they're not trying to make a fun game. I thought it was weird. The Last of Us, the people who were behind the Last of Us 2, they came out with an article, said they are not looking to make a fun game. They are looking to make this experience, this world, this story, and trying to tell it, but they don't care about making it fun. And that's something that you probably wouldn't hear in many other games and many other consoles title games. But this is their vision and what they have for it, which is very unique point of view. And as you saw in the trailer for Last of Us 2, it's definitely a movie type base, a story that's being told to you with flashbacks and all the other shit.
Yeah. Like you can look at, if you go like taking what D2K just said, and I'm gonna read something that Keith said when we was dialoguing about this, since he can't be here. I want to represent it. You look at that new movie, which I was gonna make his own topic, or that little short about Uncharted, that little short movie short. I don't know what you would call it, but I think it was a movie short. It transitioned from the game to that real well. It worked. It looked good. That little 20-minute little short with Nathan Drake was caught, and they was terrorizing him in his room and punched him and all that. It was pretty cool. And it looked like Uncharted. It worked. But what I noticed as we was talking, me and K-Bum and Keith was talking, what popped me and struck me as odd is how, and this is what D2K said that triggered me. He says Sony wants to tell a movie experience. They want to make you feel like you're at the theater. And I was like, you're right. And in most cases, like you look at a game like Mario, there's not a lot of story there. I mean, unless you go into the Mario RPG type games, there's story there. But I'm just talking the mainstay Mario, the mainline Mario, the 3D Mario worlds where, it's all about platforming and all that. The main objective is to stop Koopa and get Peach back. That's the story. But with Zelda, I had to push the pause button because, unlike Uncharted, I would use the Lord of the Rings as an example. Uncharted would make Sony would make the movies of Uncharted. I mean of Lord of the Rings. Nintendo is the books that people read. If that makes sense. Like, to get the storyline of Zelda, you need the books. You gotta read. You gotta know each character. Whereas the Lord of the Rings, the movies are small sample sizes of these deep books. It gives you a quick fix. It lets you learn the world. It lets you get in and be a part of it. But the deep, more integral stuff, you need to read the books. And that's what Zelda is. It's like Lord of the Rings books. Each game is a Lord of the Rings book. Where there's stuff in there, if you don't go to this castle, if you don't talk to this villager, if you don't talk to this person, if you don't go down into this dungeon, if you don't go around this corner and read that hieroglyph, if you don't go around this point and find that paper left there, you're not going to get the full gamut of the story. And once you learn all that stuff, you start to find out, wow. I remember when I was playing Ocarina of Time, none of the story really made sense to me. I didn't know why Ganon kicked me down when I ran up to the castle. I was just playing the game. The story didn't matter to me. But when Triforce Johnson came onto our podcast and began to break down the integral, deep, hidden storylines that you didn't know, like when you go down into the dungeon in Kariko, I think it's in Kariko Village, and you jump down into the whale, and you get down there, and it's all this dead and morbid, and you see all this blood everywhere, and it's this temple down there, and you see chains, and you see dead bodies and skeletons all over the place. I don't know what it is. I just think, oh, this is just supposed to be scary. Play through it. But if they telling stories like once this person used to live here, and he turned to this person and this happened and that happened, and I'm like, man, I didn't know the interlopers and this sect and that sect, and you like, I didn't even know this story even existed in a Zelda game. I was just playing it, beating the stage and moving on. I didn't know that it was depth there. And when you play Twilight Princess, I didn't know that they messed up when they was trying to kill Ganon and send Ganon to the Twilight Zone. And I didn't know all that stuff. I'm just, Ganon got killed. He wasn't there, and I'm playing the game. But as you begin to read and find out the backdrop, that Zelda game, the storytelling is even more deep. It has a deeper depth to it than what Uncharted is doing. Than what, and I would say that God of War kind of has some of this, especially in this current God of War. There's a lot of deepness to the main story that you can play through. If you venture off, there's a deeper story there that you will find. If you ain't paying attention, if you don't put this artifact and this puzzle and this paper and this hieroglyph with the main story, you gonna miss stuff. If you don't go back to what K-Bum know what I'm talking about, you're gonna miss something. And to me, that's why Zelda is, to me, so legendary, is because you can play the game and totally miss the story. But if you invest it, there's so much story there that they had to make a book for the game to find out what timeline is each game in, and is this young Link, is this old Link, is this, did Link die here, and why was Link in Majora's Mask, where was he at, was he really alive, why was Link found on this island sleep with his weapons gone? All this stuff is a part of a grandiose story that you find out that the first Zelda is actually the last Zelda. It's crazy, bro.
Well, the thing I would say about that is that that's more basically a story that's not been told in the games. If going back to reading the books, you find out a whole lot of information about all of these characters that you don't really get to see. You only see a touched on a little bit in the games. But there's a whole backstory, a lot of these games that could spawn off into games of their own that could have a very rich storyline if they wanted to. I've always wanted to do a spin-off of the girl from Twilight Princess because I found that storyline very intriguing. Like, how did she get to become a princess, and more about the Twilight Kingdom and all that type of stuff. Or there's so many different characters within the Zelda universe where you can spin that character off into their own universe, and it will be full and robust with quality content. As far as the games themselves, a lot of games have the storyline is pretty decent, but it's not as robust as a story that hasn't been told in the books and so forth. And a lot of these games are based off of someone's idea that has a much broader expanse of what you see in the actual game, because you simply just can't fit it into a game.
Well, I mean, I would agree to some extent with what you're saying, but as I started playing Zelda with Zelda games with more, I guess, awareness of what's going on, what I was reading, why this villager said this and told this story, or this legend, or this or that, I began to understand, wait a minute, this ain't just some random nonsense that's been here. If I dive into this game and try to get every morsel of information out of it, then all these encounters with these people is telling the story. But I can bypass that, like you said in Ocarina, like with Breath of the Wild. I can just go to Ganon and fight Ganon. I don't even have to talk to this person. I don't have to talk to that person. I don't have to go to that village. I don't have to go into that house. I don't have to find this particular weapon or that particular weapon. So I won't come across these characters who has more of the story to unveil to me, because I can skip that if I don't want to, because that ain't Nintendo's main purpose. Whereas in Uncharted, you have to go this way in order for the game to progress, because the story is what it's all about. Whereas Zelda, the story is behind the game. It's behind the adventure. It's behind.
The gameplay is not tethered to the story.
Yeah, there you go. It's not tethered to the story. But the story is there and it's rich. If you want to get the fullness of the game, you're gonna go through all these places to get all this stuff and to talk to all these people to pull together what's going on. Like Twilight Princess is a deep story. Ocarina of Time is a deep story if you take the time to notice it. But you won't notice it if you just play the game just for the purpose of getting to Ganon to fight the end boss and say, I beat Zelda. You won't get the story. Whereas Uncharted, they don't leave that to your choice. You gonna know everything going on because that's the whole purpose of you being there. Right. So the story might not be as deep, might not be as rich, but it is movie-esque and it is fun. And I think Nintendo should try to do some of those, try to integrate like they did with Breath of the Wild, some of those elements like Uncharted and all that. But at the same time, I think we also downplay Nintendo's storytelling because it's not so apparent, it's not so in your face like an Uncharted, like a God of War and all these other type of titles. But if you go through the following and the fandom of each title, I would say Zelda has so much you look at YouTube videos, you look at people who talk about the game and the universe and the characters, there's more depth, there's more information out there dialoguing about who Impa is, who Zelda is, who Link is, who Ganon is, who Demise is than they are who Sully is, who Nathan is. Nobody care beyond the game itself, whereas you have books, Hyrule Historia. You got books and videos purely dedicated to the mythos of Zelda in a way like that would remind you of a Lord of the Rings or a Harry Potter. You don't see that happening. I would say the only game I know over there that Sony has is like that will probably kind of be God of War, but I don't even think it's that integral like that.
Ain't nobody trying to read no books.
Whatever, man. We ain't, but somebody.
I see your point. I like the point that you're getting because I think I actually really love that point that there is so much rich history when it comes to Zelda, and there's so much behind the scenes that is kind of left for you to investigate, and there's so much backstory. And I will absolutely agree that we don't know the real backstory of Sully. We just found out that Nate came from a Catholic school and he had a bigger brother in the last God of War. And even before that, no one really cared. So I would say that saying that Nintendo games are probably more like books than and Sony's are more like movies. I mean, I think that's a good analogy, but.
Let me give credit though. Let me give credit because I just articulated it that way because that's what Keith said. Keith said, let me say what he said because I don't want to. I kind of married what D2K said and what Keith was alluding to, and I changed what Keith said to movies and books because I like D2K's analogy. But Keith said Sony is like A to Z. It's A to Z. You don't get the B, C, D stuff. You don't get all the integral stories. It's just A to Z. Quick, fast. There you go. Great. Oh man, get the explosions, the fire buildings burning down. Oh, Drake got to jump on this train. Hold on, Drake, don't fall. Oh, it breaks. It's A to Z. Whereas Zelda is B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And if you don't get all that story, you don't go search that stuff out, you gonna miss it. It ain't gonna be, and you ain't gonna see no story there. Whereas Sony is a little bit different, but that's what Keith said. I thought it was right on the money. But go ahead.
That's a good point. But not every Sony story is like that. If you actually listen to the God of War director that did the last God of War, and you would see hear him talk about all that side lore that they.
Yeah, that's why I said God of War is one of them games that do.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much lore that they could not represent in the game. I mean, and they have little things that you find it or you find that picture of it, and you kind of have to fresh
It,
start or whatever, and actually read the story behind it, which is what I think is pretty legit.
and
What do
it
you think?
gives you space for interpretation. Like you get your own interpretation of what this is supposed to mean, which create even more of a connection because some of it is left up to the player's interpretation. Whereas in Uncharted, it ain't left up to your interpretations. You clearly getting what the developers and the writers of that story wanted you to get. Whereas some stuff in God of War is literally left up to the gamer to interpret and read into it what he or she may. Whereas Zelda the same way, some things it leaves it open to you to try to place it yourself. That's why they got the Hyrule Historia. When people trying to place these games in the timeline and trying to speculate whether Link was dead here, did he lose when he actually fought Ganon in the rooftop? And he came back and he lost and we didn't know it. Like all these speculations and theories are out there because the story doesn't close it. It makes you wonder even more, like almost like comic books. All these theories is like books versus movies. Movies can't leave it open ended like that all the time. They gotta bring you to the introduction, give you the plot, give you the twist, give you the conclusion, or give you a three movie series with the conclusion. But they don't have enough time to work out a full-fledged, rich, deep story in 2 hours. That's why Lord of the Rings was so long, because you're trying to take tons of books and squeeze them down into 3 movies 3 hours long. Or now 6 movies 3 hours long with The Hobbit. So, but there's still a whole bunch we missed if you don't go read them books. You won't understand the stuff that's going on in the movie still.
Right.
So
excellent point.
You got anything to say? I ain't know I ain't want to leave you out. Okay. He might be doing something over there. But yeah, go ahead, K-Bone. What was you finna say?
No, I'm saying that's an excellent point. I don't know if Jedi knew he was muted. But no, that's
no. I didn't hear that he said Jedi. I thought he was asking you if you had anything to input. But
No, I was talking. Yeah, I was meant Jedi. My bad, bro.
Okay, yeah. I think that there were good points on. I mean, I don't think it's a competition. I think that there's a lot of validity to both what you and K-Bomb are saying. I do believe that there's a need for both styles of storytelling. Like, let me give you an example. There's some of my favorite games that I like to play are Telltale games, right? Mm-hmm. You're not doing a lot of button mashing. You're not doing a lot outside of just listening to the story. And this is a game where if you don't pay attention to the story, you're going to lose the purpose of even playing the game. So there's some games where story is a requirement. It's a necessity. And then there's some games that are like more open world to where you can kind of go and approach it as you please. You can just do a hack and slash, or you can really get in depth into the world and kind of lose yourself. And then there's also games like Uncharted, to where it's reminiscent of a movie. It gives you the feeling of, the Indiana Joneses, and it kind of touches on that. And I don't think it's really a comparison thing. I think that's just the variety you get in gaming, and which right. it makes gaming what it is. It kind of goes back to like when the popular consoles, the Microsofts and the Sonys, and folks like, well, the Nintendo fans, and well, you guys got no games and it's only Mario and this and that. And for us Nintendo guys, it's like, well, it's funny because these are people who call themselves gamers, right? And then they have their allegiances to particular brands, or you have the PC elitists. And it's like, well, if you're a gamer, then you should be able to game and experience a variety of different things, no matter the console, right? And get that type of experience that those different type of game brands are providing. And I think that's just essentially what it is. I think that each console, or PC to include them, they provide something that is a little different than their competitors. And I think that's a good thing, because if we had like, for example, right, say if Uncharted said, well, maybe we need to go the route of really fleshing out more of a more detailed story, but also at the same time allowing people to kind of bypass the story and or just straight jump straight to the final boss or what have you. What's going to happen is games are going to feel the same,
Mhm.
and that is the last thing that we want. You know, yeah. I mean, I didn't know about the epicness of Uncharted until I spoke to you guys, and specifically K-Bomb, and he was like, "Yo, dude, you must play this game."
Yes.
I got through the first one, and now I'm hearing you guys talk about how part two was like the best of the series, and I only got a portion of the way through that. But yeah, it's still something that I think is necessary. There's gonna be degrees when it comes to storytelling. One, it could be preference, or it could be just in depth, specifically what the developers intend to do with the story. It depends about their approach. But I think right now, though, we're in a bit of a golden age in that capacity, because at one time it was all about just graphics and more graphics, and now it seems like you can really choose um, an experience, if you will, to be able to say, "Hey, I just played a movie." I mean, the last podcast that we did, I was talking about how I played the game Late Shift or Night Shift on the Switch, and it was like playing a movie, and it was
Mhm.
exciting. And you go on these gaming sites, and they're giving it like mediocre scores, and I had a ton of fun with this game, so much so that I was playing it with my wife, and my wife rarely plays games if it's not the 2D side scrolling Mario, right? It's
Right.
The variety is just awesome right now.
I think we've gotten to the point where, I mean, obviously things can look better, and it will look better once Sony and Microsoft jump into the ninth generation. But they've gotten to a point where now you can't just lean on
Yeah,
graphical ability anymore. You actually have to accompany it with some substance, and that's what we're seeing with games like Uncharted and Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War. You're seeing the gameplay and the content match the visuals, and that's where gaming should be, and that's hopefully where all gaming is going in this ninth generation.
Yeah, and that brings me to the point of the greatest game
I
that
was
I
finna bring up
claim,
Witcher 3.
the greatest game of this generation that did everything that you guys have said, and that
Right.
is The Witcher 3. It did the
All
movie
this.
aspect that Sony, it did the book as refers to as Nintendo, um, and it also have done the graphics, and it also did the gameplay, and it did the innovation. It did all of those. It combined every last aspect. And I, for one who haven't finished the game, still quote this as the best game this generation, besides GTA. That's what I claim. That's my personal claim. You can hate on it, you can like it, do what you want with it.
No, I don't think anybody will, for the most part, would disagree that for what Witcher 3 brought to the table, it will stand the test of time as one of the greatest games ever made. And I haven't even played it. Just watching folks play it, watching folks talk about it, watching the storyline, it's intimidating to me because Zelda is intimidating at times. Like the scale of the game, how much they require from you to play the game, like Skyrim and all that. It's like, do I have the time to invest? That's what makes Zelda so what it is. And I can jump in an Uncharted game. I know I get this 10, 15 hours. I'm done. That's it. There's nothing else to find. If I find it, it ain't going to really play much to what the game didn't already tell me through its mainline story. Same with Uncharted. I mean, God of War, for the most part, not in all factors, but for the most part, 15 hours, 20 hours, I'm done. Zelda, you could put 70 hours in and just be scratching the surface. Skyrim, you could put hundreds of hours in and just be scratching the surface. Witcher 3, 100+ hours and you ain't even got halfway through the story. You ain't even revealed certain aspects and certain characters haven't even stepped in yet, and you got 100 hours in already. that's it's crazy, man. You know, so the art of storytelling, to me, I think when people start saying, you know, make blanket statements like, not you, K-Bum, so don't think I'm talking about you, but I've heard this from other folks. Nintendo Mario doesn't have a story. Well, no, Mario doesn't have an integral story. It's Save the Princess. That's what it is. Zelda doesn't have a story. Well, I had to hit pause there. Metroid Prime doesn't have a story. Well, I had to hit pause there. Yeah, they do, but it ain't just gonna give it to you without you working for it. And that's the difference. Whereas Uncharted, they don't make you work for it. You paid your $60, put it in, play it, enjoy. Zelda is gonna require some time investment to really get the full experience, and not everybody got that type of time. That's why I haven't even bought The Witcher 3, because I didn't buy Skyrim. Well, I didn't buy Skyrim for two reasons. I don't like first person's perspective, and I just ain't got 100+ hours to devote to one game. I still plan on getting Witcher 3, but man, that's just a lot of my time that I only do every so often. I play games like that, so I put 150 hours into Zelda Breath of the Wild. I don't think I've ever did a game like that. So, but with that being said, I don't have much else on this. Anybody else? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm good to go.
It was good, man. I enjoyed the little debate. It was very good. Thank you.
No, ain't no debate. I didn't think you was wrong. I just think people miss the richness in the world and the universe of games like Zelda, games like Metroid Prime, even Kid Icarus. Mario, no, it doesn't have a story. Let's just be real. I mean, if Saving the Princess is a story to you, I think they all follow a similar format. This happens, that happens, and you got to go stop it. All of them follow that. But, you know, Cooper came in, he took Princess, and he triggered this, and you got to stop it. That's all games follow that format, but how you get from A to Z, some skip a lot of letters and telling you that, where in other games make you find each letter to really expose the stories. But that's what I had. I hope that was interesting to you guys. I wish Keith was here because he had some very good points. But I know over at Jedi Knight spot, he probably want to get some Z's. I ain't gonna hold him on here too much longer. Because he got to get back to the wife and his new child and be father. So we want to give him space, and I got to go upstairs and be father too here. So I ain't gonna hold you too much longer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and prepare to sign off. Starting with, well, let me say this, man. I'm glad for all y'all tuning in. The one named Shadow. Bro, you got me going, man. These timelines are something that I really got into with Zelda. I be watching the videos, trying to find out stuff I didn't know, like the interlopers and what happened here and what happened there. Is just all intriguing to me. So I'm with you on that. Who else was in here? First name basis, Simzim. There was one more up here that I saw. I guess that is all of them. Appreciate all you guys for being in the live chat. But without further ado, I'm going to let these dudes sign out, starting with Jedi Knight.
Appreciate the time as usual, fellas. Good podcast. And I will see you guys next Sunday. For the people who were around for the live podcast, I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening, and also giving your feedback in the comment section.
K-Bomb 20.
Man, ain't nobody trying to read no book.
You dirty too.
Gotta get a shirt made.
No, for real.
I love that.
I had fun, man. I enjoyed the podcast. I got a chance to hear my most favorite word in the world. Mario, so I felt good about that.
Mario.
Mario, my fault, Mario. I got the
Mario.
name bad. Pretty excited about that. That pretty much make the podcast when you hear that. So no, have fun, man. Good to have everybody here. Um, Good to kick it in the comment section. Thank you guys. Appreciate you guys for listening.
All right, and give me feedback on that intro, things that y'all like, didn't like, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. It was good to hear Jedi Knight and to know that him and his family and his wife, the pregnancy and everything, the birth of his child went through and was safe and good, and everything worked out to a pleasing result. And I'm glad for that, to know that he's a father now of a healthy 8 pound now, 8 ounce now, 9 ounce, 8 pounds, 9 now 9 pounds now, right?
Yeah, 9 pounds.
Oh, I'm all messed up. 9 pounds. There you go. A healthy baby. That's good to hear, man. And
much appreciated, man.
Yeah, man. I'm glad for you. Happy for you. Keith couldn't make it, but we look forward to being back on here. Hopefully next Sunday. I have to see how things fall. Because I don't know if I got a second service or not. I think I do. But if I don't, we will be here next Sunday. Until then, DJ K, Jedi Knight, K-Bum 20, Leveled Head, signing out. Deuces.